Good morning to you. This is The Arena on Voice of the People, 96.1 FM. I am Gesiri Agua. You're welcome to the show. The Arena is that platform, that show where we beam our searchlight on pressing national issues, see how they affect you as a Nigerian and Nigerians as a whole as well. All right, this morning we're going to be looking at the NNPCL raising the petrol pump price. We also have Dangote in the news as well, releasing a sample of refined petrol, saying local sale of fuel will stabilize the naira. And we also have a list of journalists who have been, in one way or the other, fingered as accomplices in the charges against PDOM, who released some. According to the federal government, or according to the STF, some sensitive documents, released them against the act to the public. We'll be looking at all that in just a moment. But the NNPCL has increased the pump price of petrol from 568 to 855. 897, depending on the location per litre. This is amid lingering fuel scarcity and the country's crisis. Yesterday evening, I personally bought fuel at 950 naira from a particular filling station here in Abuja. Reports on the newly increased price come after NNPCL said it owed its suppliers more than $6 billion in debt. Correspondents, newsmen who reported from Abuja and Lagos. While the report from Abuja said price was jerked up to 897 per litre, newsmen in Lagos said NNPC stations reflect the global price and to reduce the debt burden on the NNPCL. So, Mr. Larry, good morning to you and welcome to the show. We're looking at a lot of things this.
Good morning, Abuja. It's a tough day to say good morning because Nigerians are really under the shock of the new price of PMS. And it's sad because
has it come at a shock, really? Has it come at a shock? I mean, wasn't it expected, seeing as $6 billion is what the debt figure is?
For the average Nigerian, it's a shock. For me personally, it's a shock. We didn't ask them to mismanage their financial situation, and then we are still allowing the people who created the refineries and depleted. We don't know what that means. It's still not working. So I don't really. We have this tendency to speculate. When there is consistent scarcity of fuel, Nigerians imagine that fuel price increase is imminent because it appears that this petroleum product conundrum is a perfect example of how irresponsible a government can be. You tell lies to the people. You allow the officials who manipulate all of these situations, create a social taxes, tell lies. You allow and permit all of them to continue in this whole fraud on the majority. It is sad. And I don't think the problem is going to just, when you put people to the wall, and you're expecting to push them through the wall. Some days you may suffer. If you look at a country like Bangladesh, if you look at the strides that they made, you even wonder, so what happened? But see, what happened was that the young people were upset over time by this issue of reserving choice jobs, a large percentage of choice jobs for people that they consider privileged. And when that anger boiled over, nobody could stop them. The government in Nigeria is gradually pushing people to that stage where you may just realize that that is not even worthwhile being alive in this kind of situation. You know, they are pushing people to a stage of hopelessness. And when a human being becomes hopeless, then the options are not too many. The person doesn't value life anymore, and anything can happen. When we look at what happened during the bad governance protest, when young people dared police officers became very careless in their behavior and conduct. When you look at some of those videos, you see that recklessness. I also saw a lot of that recklessness during NSAS. You see that the people who engaged in that behavior were people who were hopeless. As for them To them, life doesn't really have that much meaning. A person who has a good job and a future won't go and be taunting a police officer, a Nigerian police officer, not just a police officer, with firearms loaded with live ammunition. But when a person looks ahead and you see only hunger, you look behind, you are coming from a despondent state of living, the person will just feel like, in fact, the person just doesn't have any reason to live for. We are creating more Nigerians who don't have a reason to live for. And when this thing boils over, you'll be surprised that all the military men and police officers in Nigeria won't be able to stop the avalanche. And we pray it won't get to that. We actually, we know our former president said we are sitting minimum wage. And then you did this. So the people, you increase their minimum wage. Are you going to increase it again? I mean, I know people, I know Nigerians who packed their vehicles, and it made me sad. I know a senior civil servant in this country who works for a major institution, in fact, who works for INEC, let me be specific, is for the car. So we are doing damage to our citizens. We are encouraging people to be corrupt. I mean, you that is increasing the fuel price, you are not checking what you pay the workers. And you don't have efficient public transportation system like other countries. You don't have rail system that works. You don't even have at all. You don't have public transport system. You don't have anything to ease the burden of transportation. So you expect everybody to own a car. And then you make fuel 900 naira. Because when you say 890 and you are floating the price, in some places as we speak, that price is 1,000 plus. Because it's not really regulated. You can't come to my market where that is if you want to sell 900, that's your business. 1,000, that's your business. And what will happen is that the average Nigerian cannot afford to put fuel in his car. We have been hearing promises upon promises about CNG buses. Even if you have them, how many are you going to have? We have 200 million human beings in Nigeria. You have not even brought one CNG bus after more than 1 year. So we have a very insensitive leadership that is totally disorganized, totally insensitive. They don't realize that they are living with human beings who have problems. They don't realize because they don't have the same problems. I've always said it. They don't buy petrol. They don't buy cars. They get free car, free petrol, free shopping, free accommodation, free allowances for travel, extra code when they travel. In other words, they travel for frivolous reasons. We pay them for traveling for frivolous reasons. I pray honestly that I'm sad. Not because I can't buy fuel at that price, but because most Nigerians are totally emasculated. It's terrible. It's horrible. Even for me as a person, you calculate how much you used to fill a car, a small car, a modest car, and you look at the price and you're asking yourself, what is happening? Is this the same country? And they are trying to discourage people from running away from Nigeria. You are telling doctors not to travel. You are telling, why won't they travel? Why? You are making the place ungovernable. You use more energy to fight innocent young people who are saying we don't like what's happening to our country. You use more energy to fight them than to fight the bandits and terrorists and insurgents and corrupt politicians. Why won't any sane person walk away from the madness? We need to get to that point where we encourage Nigerians to learn to think. There's something we call critical thinking. Our leaders are not thinking, and unfortunately, even a lot of citizens are not thinking too. It's sad.
All right. You can join the conversation 0808-312-8618. That's the number to call to be a part of the conversation 0808-312-8618. Also, looking at this particular situation, Mr. Larry, this is just a couple of days after the hunger strike. Once we know that once petrol prices go up, every other thing, in connection goes up as well. You're looking at feeding, transportation, every other thing goes up because you have to transport yourself to different locations to get whatever it is. So at the moment now, a lot of people have been blaming the president, and they've been saying this all started when he said fuel subsidy is gone. If he knew he wanted to take it, I think it was for 190 something naira. Right now we're now talking about an 855, 897 naira to a liter. So I don't know what your take is on this situation.
The truth of the matter is that when they were occupying Nigeria, they were not occupying Nigeria because they felt Nigeria wasn't being properly managed. So they were making a contribution. They were occupying Nigeria basically so that they could move out those who were managing it at that time. They were targeting the wallet of Nigeria. Sorry, if you just want to put it simply, when a Nigerian politician criticizes or makes suggestions or talks, you have to take it with a bag of salt, not with a pinch of salt. Most of the time, they are just interested in power and the money. Now we have seen the don't don't assume that he's fighting for power for the purpose of using the power to do good. When a man fights for the people, don't assume that he's fighting for the people. He may be fighting for himself under the guise of fighting for the people. And that is the common practice in Nigeria. Politicians always deceive the people. They speak well until they get that political appointment. And then you begin to ask yourself, is this the same person that was a frontline journalist, the same person that was supposed to have all the democratic credentials? So what happened to the credentials? I mean, look at our own Bayo Nanuga. A lot of people can't reconcile the Bayo Nanuga they knew and the one they have now. So we have a Nigeria where sometimes you look for men of principle. You look for people who have this capacity to just maintain the cause. Come on national television and call another person all kinds of names. And then tomorrow, he comes here to no. They're struggling to exist. And that's why the average politician doesn't want you to buy fuel at a normal price. He doesn't want you to get a decent living wage because he wants you to always be thinking of the food you will eat and how to get to work and how to exist. Now, when you are so bothered about mere existence, you don't begin to think about the quality of governance and all of that until it gets to that point where the person knows that what is facing him or her is imminent death. And function well, and people learn critical thinking skills. You can't fool them the way they are fooling most Nigerians. So the issue of whether they were demonstrating before now or occupying Nigeria, basically they were trying to occupy their own political space. That is what all that was about. I mean, look at it now. Our former president, Muhammadu Buhari, was crying every time he lost an election. He would cry. You would think that the man was so interested in fixing the country. Then we had 8 years of debacle. Then after that, total silence. So that tells you that for them, they don't even understand that you become great when for them the opportunity to sit in a position, benefit from the position is enough. They don't care what posterity says about that time they occupy the position. They don't really care. They care about the money they make, the privileges they have, and then maybe like as an ex-president in Nigeria, you are entitled to so many undeserved privileges. So those are the things I'm interested in. As for all of these things we are discussing, we're doing analysis, saying they didn't do well. There are psychopaths who will still say they did well, and they will choose to believe those psychopaths. So I think Nigerians need to begin to think of how to liberate ourselves from this both mental and physical slavery, because it's not a joke anymore. And the challenge we have is when as South Africans we are enduring the pain of apartheid, but of sympathy. The world had sympathy because it was versus black. But when it is black versus black, when it is your brother, your uncle, your father that is doing this to you, it's difficult for the world to understand what you're saying, because they'll say you're doing it to yourself. So I think we need to understand the scam that is going on here. When a politician makes promises of didn't come to work because there's no food, they will sit down and talk about it. The problem we have is that we adapt to everything they do to us. I have not seen a country in the world that adapts to evil like Nigeria. We have prayed, so solve it for us and wake up.
All right, join the conversation. We're live on YouTube, Voice of the People Abuja. We're live on YouTube at Voice of the People Abuja. You can always call the studio 0808-312 8618. If you've bought fuel within the past 6, 7, 8, 9 hours, do let us know how much you bought it, what price, and if there were queues as well, do let us know all about it. 0808 312-8618. So what exactly is your make of this increase in pump price of petrol, especially the half fill for 1 week and then the next 3 weeks you have accusing that they've had 6 billion and then they've gone ahead to increase the pump price. So these have alleged a discreet investigation initiated to identify those responsible for the leakage of a restricted document on a sensitive matter of national security led to the identification of the train ended at a hotel in Port Harcourt by the NPF NCCCC detectives. And in an attempt to resist the arrest, the suspect locked himself in a hotel room, smashed his phone, and flushed it down the toilet in an effort to destroy the evidence. He also refused to surrender his phone's password, claiming he had forgotten it, thereby concealing information. Subsequent investigations after his arrest revealed several suspicious activities between the principal suspect and his accomplices. Investigations have also revealed that the suspect was responsible for leaking a sensitive, restricted document generated from the office of the president to the SGF. The suspect had also illegally accessed police restricted data and posted directives from the office of the IGP and many other restricted documents with the aim of jeopardizing the security network in Nigeria. It has also been established that the suspect helped raise funds through anonymous means to sponsor cyber terrorism and other related crimes. Evidence of this was derived after critical forensic analysis of the suspect's crypto wallet transactions. Earlier, the police arraigned Bristol on charges of money laundering, cybercrime, and unlawfully obtaining, retaining, and disseminating classified official secret documents. Bristol was arraigned on 9 counts before Justice Emeka Nwite of the Federal High Court in Abuja and has pleaded not guilty to all the charges. The justice adjourned the case to the 23rd of September for the ruling of the bail application filed on behalf of the defendant. All right, Mr. Larry, I'm sure you've been following this story for a bit, looking at the fact that they are journalists and there's been a lot of conversation, especially about the David Ondane, but PDOM has had his field day in court and the case has been adjourned. But looking at it, what exactly is your general sense, your make of it?
We should all have. Remember that this is the same country where we have Freedom of Information Act. So the question now becomes that this is a classified information that can jeopardize the security of the country. Now, I suspect that, of course, it's not even a suspicion. I know that the government is always very unhappy when we have information that discredits them or that exposes the things that they are doing that they shouldn't be doing. They usually find ways to arrest them and inconvenience them. And that is what I think is happening. Unfortunately, we've had several journalists harassed and for no reason, some of them released after. I mean, there was this very sad case of this guy that was even flown in a private plane, detained, and then the journalists would go to the security agency. They say, no, we don't have him, and then finally they had him and they released him. So I think we need to publicly tell Nigerians what constitutes official government secret that shouldn't be revealed. So if a Nigerian public servant does something that borders on corruption, does something that we should all know how it happened, and then it is revealed, is it a revelation of public secret? If they talk about jeopardizing security, can they please explain to Nigerians how, like the police talked about getting information that is classified that to jeopardize security, can they put fire in a state, and we don't know what that means? Nobody is asking him to tell us. Can't we just take a cue and understand that if you have an injury and the injury causes you pain, the pain is not so that you will die unless you ignore the injury. The pain is so that you go to hospital. So if you are exposed, the purpose of that exposure is to cause you the pain and shame that will make you go and put your house in order. That is why things don't change in Nigeria. Rather than go and put their house in order, they will pursue the person that blows the window, also spreads an inferno. The same wind that blows out a candle spreads a fire, an inferno. if our resolve is strong, this persecution will spread the inferno. If our resolve is weak, yes, who have the will to resist bad governance. So the people who think that because they have the power to arrest people and they misappropriate and misuse power, that they think they're going to blow out this candle. This is not a candle, it's a wildfire. The more you persecute, the more sympathy saying that he published police this and that. So why should the police not function well? You don't want to talk about the police. You don't want to talk about the police. Going to the hotel and doing all this drama. That we have processes for arresting people. But most of the time, unfortunately, the same police that should often I cannot explain what is. I talk with them one-on-one sometimes. What exactly is the problem with this your institution? It's a conversation in Nigerian law. Unfortunately, we are not even thinking in that direction. The police have been converted to a personal security force, and it's not working.
Of the fuel prices that have been increased, we'll watch and see how NLC handles that, and then we'll have a conversation tomorrow. Thank you so much for your time this morning.
My pleasure and privilege. We should all listen to the voice of the people, and for those who are hard of hearing, they should go and get hearing aids, because we must listen to the voice of the people. We are sitting on text of gunpowder, and God will help us.
All right, Nonso Arinzechi, how you doing? Good morning to you.
I cannot be better than the fair queue around the world at the moment. It's excruciating, painful, and I don't know where we're heading to, but it is what it is. The price is increasing. The fuel is still scarce. Nigerians are suffering a pain in our neck. Good morning again, Gessery.
All right, so we'll watch and see how all that plays out. Where we're looking at right now for sports is the game against Benin Republic and Rwanda. 20 players ahead of the Africa Cup of Nations qualifiers have gotten to the camp. The camp is bubbling with 20 players, and the interim Super Eagles coach, Oseni, he's expressed optimism that things will go well.
Absolutely, he has the right to be optimistic. It's the Super Eagles of Nigeria. Come on, look at the rankings. Where is Benin Republic? Where is Rwanda in those rankings? They are nowhere close. But because of our poor performance in recent times, that's why it seems like Nigerians are a bit scared heading into this game. We had no coach for about 2 months, and at the end of the day, we got appointed at the helm of affairs. So I can understand the shares of Nigerians. Seriously, I do. But the truth is, like you said, 20 players already in camp. We hear that Kelechi Iheanacho will join the team on Wednesday, and on Thursday, Victor Oseni, exactly, and Fede Marcock will join up with the team for that game on Saturday at the Gospel Ababa Stadium in New York. So the camp is bubbling. The two assistant coaches are there. The coach is talking tough, like you said, and we'll wait and see how things pan about again. Nigerians are not too optimistic, I must say, because our last meeting against the Republic in Abidjan in a neutral ground was a 2-1 loss. So change the tide and change the situation, and ensure that we get a better outcome this time around at our home. So again, this is not a World Cup qualifier, it is a Nations Cup qualifier, and so we need to find out what is really going on. But if we get to win our first 2 games, then it looks like that we'll play at the AFCON come 2025. So the race for the AFCON begins exactly on Saturday, and from what we're hearing from the camp in Uyo is that the players are bubbling and ready to go.
All right. Any other sports stories that we need to be looking at?
Absolutely, because again, I'm tired of time, so I'll have to be very quick. We know that the NFF have appointed a new coach for the under-20 national team. He needs no introduction. His name is a certain Zubairu Ali. He's the coach of El Kanemi Warriors of Makurdi. They won the Federations Cup last time. I'll beating Abia Warriors in the final in Lagos. So a new under-20 coach, his job is to get the team together that will participate in the WAF under-20 Nations Cup that will have to qualify for the under-20 African Cup of Nations. So that's good news. We hear from that one. So wait and see. Like I said, Benin Republic also have begun their camping. Their coach, Coach Genaro, has arrived at the camp. I must tell you, we have some team players have arrived to the team. 25 will be completed in the next 2 days, and they will hit Nigeria on Thursday for that game. So a lot of things are shaping up. Also, we hear some players are already pulling out. The name of Bright Osei Samuel, he picked up an injury, so he's out of the game. Benjamin Tamino returns to replace him. He was in Tanzania, now he's got to move to Crowley Town in League One in the English League. So a lot of the focus on the Nations Cup qualifier, and of course, but the big news is that Zubairu Aliyu for the 20, they've got a new manager, and he's the man that will take full affair. We already talked about Oseni yesterday. He's officially arrived at Galatasaray. He signed the deal, 4-1 deal. He could depart in January. Both teams have an understanding. The player and the club has an understanding, and then since that's a new lease of life for him at the moment. And of course, still talking about the Nigerian players camp, talking about Nantes striker Moses Simon. But yeah, he's up for the player of the month. Don't forget, he scored in the last 2 games in French League for his team FC Nantes, and has been put up for the player of the month for Nantes for the month of August. So we'll see whether he wins that one. But yeah, he has 3 people who are battling for him in that encounter. Moving on, let's go to Europe. Of course, it has to be Leicester City. We hear that, of course, for Leicester City, they have been on a case of a lot of rules where they breach the profit and sustainability rule. We hear they have won that case in court. They will not be charged, they will not be fined, and they will not be banned. So they will be playing in the Premier League. I'm free from every issue that I can tell you. Also, in Athletic, a certain lady talking about Rebecca Chitegi, we hear she's literally in the hospital after she was attacked by her ex-boyfriend with petrol. Yeah, this lady is one of the world champion of the marathon. But right now she's in the hospital. Yeah, she's in critical condition. Wait and see whether she recovers from this one. Imagine your ex-boyfriend attacking you in your home with petrol. It's becoming sickening, and Kenya looking like it's no longer safe for athletes, especially in Kenya. Also, we hear that, of course, Chelsea are still sending players. You know that already. One guy has left. He didn't kick a ball for Chelsea. He was bought for £13 million in 2023. Now he has been sold to Saudi Pro League side Al Nassr for £19.1 million. Chelsea are beginning to balance their books. Like I said, it seems the policy of Todd Bowley begins to bear fruit in the sense that they buy young players, they sell for higher price, and it improves their financial statement. Not really well, that they have bought over, so far as I speak to you, Chelsea has 42 players. I repeat, 42 players in the team at the moment. And the coach says he only has 21 he wants. So more exodus will be going on as time comes. And of course, let me end with this one. I know you love this one. You love female football. And of course, the 20 girls will be playing this later tonight. That game is for 11 p.m. They'll be playing the German, who has been their Achilles heel for a very long time. If you check it very well, you realize that Germany beat Nigeria in the finals of the last 2 times we were in the final by a goal to nil. Now they play them in the group stage. Germany are coming from a 5-2 victory against Venezuela in their first group game. For Nigeria, they beat Korea by a goal to nil, costing that goal by Sebastian Flourish, the junior international. So wait and see how this turns out. 11 p.m. is the time. And if Nigeria wins that game, they qualify for the next round of the 20 World Cup happening in Colombia. But again, like I always tell you, a lot of things can still happen. A lot of things can still happen. If Nigeria do not beat Germany, they can still qualify. But that will be a blow, a dent to their aspiration. Don't forget that Germany has been their potential Achilles heel in that competition. Quickly, Sobamba, the man who died, you know him so well, the former Cote d'Ivoire international, the man who died in hospital in Turkey as the assistant coach in Andana Sport. So yeah, that the Premier League, the English football decided to honor him. There will be a lot of celebration of his life when Cardiff City takes on Leeds United. That will be the game after the international break. He died at the age of 39. Really sad one for Cote d'Ivoire and of course English football. He was a big player in the English Premier League with Cardiff City. And at some point, don't forget, he was also their captain of that team. Okay, what else did I leave out? Okay, yes, I have to put this one in. For fans of the MPFL, I will end with these guys. MPFL, there will be no place for beyond limit in the MPFL. The Premier League body, the MPFL, have come out to say that for the sake of clash of interest, you can't have Remo Stars and Beyond Limit in the Nigerian Premier Football League. Both teams have the same owners. And so what they said was that, according to them, they still insist that there was no buying of sports. They said it's not in their rules and regulations of the MPFL code and conduct. But that only Heartland of Owerri were the only team who were relegated that brought interest, that gave an interest that they wanted to play in the MPFL. So therefore, there will be no Beyond Limit because of clash of interest. But there will be Heartland in the MPFL season that will begin begin last weekend, but most of the main 9 games will be played this weekend. So I guess I hope I went around the world in 10-15 minutes. Hope I've done justice to everything happening around the world at the moment.
All right. Thank you so much, Nonso, for your time this morning. Have yourself a wonderful day. Thank you, our listeners.
Thank you very much for having me. Hopefully the Falcons will win tonight. And of course, by the time I'll be talking to you on Monday, the Super Eagles would have done justice and won that one. Don't forget there are more games going on as well in the NWFL here in Calabar. match day 4 is ongoing as I speak to you. We now know some of the teams who are already through to the championship. None of are already qualified. Teams like Dreamstar will play relegation playoffs. So more games to will decide today. Today will determine who and who would make it, to the playoffs. Either the relegation playoffs or the championship playoffs, or who will just keep their spot in the NWFL Championship. So more football to come in Calabar from now to the 8th of September.
All right. Thank you so much for your time this morning. Have yourself a wonderful day.
Thank you very much.
All right, to you listening, it has been an informative conversation this morning. Thank you for listening to VOP 96.1 FM. We'll pay some bills, and of course, it's music